This episode is part two of my conversation with Jeff Stumb, the executive director of Stahl's Motor and Music Experience. I recommend going back to watch the first part before listening to this episode. So, while looking through your inventory, I did see a couple of movie cars from the
Yes.
mid 1960s. So, how do you acquire those?
Oh, I think most of them have been required at auctions when they came available. We have a very much a fondness for movies, movie cars. Um, and we have probably one of the largest and best collection of movie cars. Everything from the Flintstone Mobile to the Grinch Mobile from the movie the Grinch that Jim Carrey actually was in. We have probably one of the least known Steve McQueen cars from the 1969 movie called The Reavers. And it's a car that was built by Von Dutch for the movie. It's the only one. And it's a 1903. It's supposed to be a 1903 or 1904 Winton in the movie. They talk about it, maybe 1905, because the movie's set in that period. I don't know. It's one of the least known Steve McQueen cars. Everybody goes crazy on all his other stuff, but this one is really neat, and probably the most popular car we have. Of the movie cars is the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car. It is one of a handful of cars that are the real cars from the movie. You know, they had different ones for different scenes that did different things. Ours is more just the driver. Some of the ones have the wings that come out. And that one really it still resonates with people. We had a lady come in here just a few months ago from Pennsylvania, young woman, and she was a singer, and she loved the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and she wanted to come sit in the car, and we let her sit in it. And while she was sitting in it, she just started singing, and she sang the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang song, and we got it on video, and we put it online, and within days, it had over 1 million views. So, and you can still find it on our YouTube channel, and it's just amazing what it did because Chitty Chitty Bang Bang still resonates with a lot of people. We have the two cars from the movie The Great Race, which starred Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. So we have the hero car, which is white. It's called the Leslie Special, and then we have the villain car, which is black, which is the Hannibal 8, which is a really cool car because it goes up and down. So that, the movie's based on the real life 1908 Great Race from New York to Paris. And but it's a Blake Edwards comedy, and those two cars are very popular. And then we have, it's not necessarily it's not a vehicle with wheels, but we have the Apollo 13 capsule from the movie Apollo 13. It's not the one that was actually in space. It's the movie one, which is very, very accurate because they had to film. So this is where Tom Hanks and the other guys were strapped into the capsule, and they did a lot of filming. And we let people actually climb in it and sit in the seats, which is really neat. So yeah, we have a tremendous movie car collection.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about. One of the first things I saw was that you had a Benz Patent-Motorwagon.
Yeah, you talking about it's 1889, 1886. That is really neat car. It's in our music room, and it really lets you see how difficult it was to build a car of that period of time. It's all open, so you can see all the gears and everything and the chain, and it's very primitive because it is so old.
So how does that differ mechanically from later brass era cars?
Night and day difference. Because when they started working into the brass cars, you get about 1908 or 1909, and things start advancing very quickly. Anything you get about before 1908 starts to get a very primitive comparatively. So there was like this huge leap. You got to remember the first airplane flight was only in 1903 with the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk. So, at that same period of time, most people had never seen a car. So it just rapidly changed from something that was a lot of companies, including Ford, were just, Henry Ford was still trying to develop the automobile. And everything in that period of time, in the 1903, just to compare to the first flight, very primitive. And we're talking about even well before that, in the late 1800s. It almost doesn't even look like an automobile.
Okay, I have one last car to talk about before we get to the general questions, and it is the Roar Streamliner.
Oh boy, that's a good one. Yeah, that car has toured the country the last year and a half, really, from Pebble Beach to Aldrain to Hilton Head to Miami, Amelia Island. It has made the rounds, and it has been the hit of just about every one of the shows. It was best in show at Hilton Head. It won special awards at Aldrain, Miami, and Amelia Island. So incredible car. It is the only Roar Streamliner. Roar was German automobile company before the war, and they made really nice automobiles. I would compare them to Mercedes of the era, if not greater. We have another Roar's, an Olympiad, and it has very much a Mercedes look, a Mercedes of the era. And but the Streamliner is a totally different automobile. It's the only one they did, and it is an amazing work of art. The headliner is not just a headliner, but it has a pattern to it that we have to tell people, look down, look in, and look up at the headliner, and they're just blown away. The detail on the car is incredible. There's nothing else like it in the world as far as its style. The styling on it, that streamlined look is just amazing. We keep the windows up about this much instead of all the way up or all the way down. We keep them up that much because they have channels. As the windows go up, they have these beautiful chrome pieces that go up with the window as you roll the front and the back windows up that will seal the car completely. So when they're down, it's like a hard top, so that it's all open. And just the craftsmanship and the detail in the car are unbelievable.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been told that the paint on the Roar is made of crushed seashells.
That is nuts, fish scales. Crushed fish scales, yeah. Yeah,
and
we're always very concerned on that car to get anything to happen to it, because you can't just go down and say, repaint this fender and blend it in, because it's not going to work.
Another thing I was told, I've seen it at a couple of shows, is the engine actually designed by Ferdinand
Porsche? Yes, that's correct. That's as he was getting into the business, much like the Dusenberg brothers, who started out racing, building engines, and got popular. Their name became popular, and that's how they got into the car business. And the same with Ferdinand. He built engines before he started Porsche. So yeah, young Ferdinand Porsche designed that engine.
You briefly mentioned that one of your personal cars is a 1919 Ford Model T delivery. What other cars have you owned?
I have way too many cars personally. It's just I love them. Just recently bought a 1929 Model A mail truck, which is neat. I have quite a few 57 Fords and 57 Mercurys. That's sort of my the area that I like. We have some Corvairs. I have a couple of Corvair vans. My wife has a Corvair Spider convertible. Really love early cars, especially from the mid 20s. I have several Marmons from that era. I have a 1928 Buick Country Club Coupe that was the last car that Barney Ofield, the famous race car driver, ever owned. I'm only the third owner of that car. I have a 1915 Winton that's been undergoing a 10-year so far restoration. That's a massive limousine. It's over 7.5 feet tall, has a 151-inch wheelbase. It's the largest Winton that they made. It was a special order car. Just a lot of different cars from. I have a 1916 Hudson Super 6 Cabriolet. It's the only cabriolet known to exist. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of them, but yeah, if it has wheels and a steering wheel and an engine, I like it.
You said you had a Chevrolet Corvair van?
Yes, I have two. I have a 61 Greenbrier, which is a window van, basically a minivan of its time. It would seat 9 people comfortably. And I have a 63 Corvair panel van called a Corvan. So it's the same thing. There's just no windows. So it'd be like a delivery vehicle.
So is the engine still placed in the rear?
It is. It is. Just like the car they started 61. Corvair came out in 1960. In 61, they added the van and pickup trucks, actually, the ramp side, which people are familiar with. But they also had something called a load side. I did own at one time a 61 load side. So it was a pickup truck, but it didn't have the door on the side. So you had to put stuff in it. And you had to kind of reach over and put it down into the well. So basically, they're like vans with the van portion cut out. So, and on the trucks, the engines, they're just a cover, and you could open up the back of the pickup truck part and there's the engine. So they were very exposed to the weather.
So do you drive some of these cars often?
Oh, yeah, I try to drive them as much as possible. I've got a couple that I haven't driven yet. Obviously, the Winton is going under restoration. I did buy a 1957 Mercury convertible cruiser. It's the convertible version of the Turnpike Cruiser, and it's one of the 1957 Indianapolis 500 pace cars. They made a handful, of pace cars. It's not the one that actually paced the race, but they made, like they do most years with the pace car, they made a few extra pace car editions. I have that, but I have not driven it yet. When I bought it, it had a carburetor issue. It has 57 Mercury has push button transmission, and it had some issues with the push button, and that's all been fixed. So we had to put a new carburetor on it, and it was overheating a little bit. But I think those issues have been resolved, and hopefully I will drive that car very soon. Big, massive thing with, if you're not familiar with 57 Mercuries, look them up. They're just gaudy. They're so gaudy that they're pretty. They're beautiful. in their very gaudy way with they just were putting things everywhere on the car. And it has the spare tire, it has a Continental kit on the back, with the spare tire. So it's big, heavy. It's got the Lincoln 368 engine in it. Just a massive, wonderful car, and it's convertible.
You did mention that you actually drove the turbine car. So,
Yeah.
what is it like to drive that compared to other more conventional cars of the era?
When you get in, it's very intimidating because it's such a futuristic compartment. The dash is very futuristic. The console that runs all the way to the back seat and through the back seat. So the back seat's almost like has bucket seats. And it's just very futuristic. But once you turn the key, and when you turn the key, in a normal car, you turn the key and wait a few seconds for it to fire up before you let the key go. This is more like a switch. You just turn the key, and it's either on or off. And the second you turn the key, the turbine fires up and immediately goes to about 1,100 degrees internally. And so that's different. Every time I turn that key, I go, is it on? Is it on? Because you're in a conventional car, you're waiting for that starter to kind of turn everything on. This is just turning the switch. But once it starts, then you've got this turbine engine sound, like you feel like you're in a jet airplane. And then you start driving, and it's like any other car. So it's very much like any 1963 automobile you would get in and drive, an Impala or a Ford Thunderbird or whatever. It's very, and a lot of people do confuse it with a 63 Thunderbird. It has, the guy who designed it for Chrysler went over to Ford and ended up designing the Thunderbird. So they have some similarities in their shape. But yeah, just once you start driving, it's, other than the sound, it's absolutely no different than driving any other 63 automobile. Brakes are a little touchy, but very common with other cars of that era. But it's a lot of fun, and you get a lot of attention, when you're driving down the road with that sound.
So, how did you first become an enthusiast?
Oh my gosh. I've been a car nut my whole life. My dad raced in the late 40s, early 50s, where they took beat up old 36, 7, 8, 9 Fords and cut them up, build roll cages, and they raced dirt tracks around southeastern Pennsylvania when he was growing up. So I guess it was just kind of already going to be in my blood. When I was young, my dad raced motorcycles all throughout the Southeast, and we went with him. And I guess I started riding a motorcycle when I was 8 years old. Did a little bit of racing, through my early teen years. And once I turned 16, I wanted a car like everybody else at the time. That was everything. So this is late 70s when I turned 16, I think 1977. And so, buying a 69 Camaro Super Sport 396 4-speed, it was just a used car. So that was one of my first cars. And I had a 72 Chevelle convertible, but these were just used cars that we used for transportation. So I kind of did the muscle car era thing at a young age when they were very inexpensive transportation. I think I paid $2,200 for my 72 Chevelle convertible that was beautiful, red, pristine, but it was a used car. It had 80,000 miles on it. The guy was probably glad to get rid of it at that, and I was glad to get it for that, with no thought that in 20, 30 years that car would be $100,000 car. So I did that. That was transportation. I was trying to get a better car. Went through 62 Chevrolets, things like that. And but as I got older, I had done that, so my interest, while other guys my age were wanting 69 Chevelles and things like that, I wanted a 30s car. So we kind of went through all that. Did Model A's. They were too small. So then I started finding other cars, as through the years. Got involved with the Marmon Club and ended up, if you don't know about a Marmon, look it up. They're the most amazing cars for their time. And this is late teens, early 20s. Aluminum body, aluminum engine. I mean, the reason there's not many of them around anymore is because during the war drive, people could sell their old beat up Marmon for $25, at the aluminum scrap drive. So unfortunately, a lot of them, went that way. But they're amazing cars. They're very big, 136-inch wheelbase. I mean, very big, beautiful aluminum bodied cars that are just out of this world. So you got involved with that, and then just really like all the older cars. They're works of art, and the more you learn about it, you asked about brass cars, earlier. That every time I would learn about and own cars from a certain era, then I would say, all right, what's next? And it kept going backwards, older, and then you get into brass cars. Oh my goodness, you talk about works of art. I mean, they're just you could be talking about a Mitchell, an EMF, a Hudson. They're just each one is so different, and so the technology and the design at the time, they weren't just slapping cars together. There was a lot of thought, a lot of effort, a lot of work being put into this, and a lot of craftsmen doing a lot of great detail that I just find so amazing and so interesting. And I've always been the kind of person that when I want to learn about something, I don't learn about it, then go buy it. I buy it to learn about it. So I've bought a lot of cars just to learn about them. So I've probably had, I know I've had over 200 cars in my life, buying and selling. I still have about 25 cars that I have now, that almost all of them are drivers, or could be drivers within a very short period of time with just a little bit of maintenance.
I like to ask this question to all my guests. If you could own any car, what would it be, and would you change it?
Any car that I don't have, or just any car?
Let's go with any car that you don't have, since you seem to have quite a collection.
Well, because I would pick the car I already have. I have a 1929 Marmon Roadster. It is the only Marmon Roadster ever built. It's built for the New York Auto Show in 1921. It's an aluminum bodied car. It is big for just a two-seater. One of the two most well-known Marmons. It's probably the second most known Marmon out there. Just because the person I bought it from is the one who found the car, restored the car from the 1970s. He owned it from the 1970s to, I've had the car now 3 or 4 years, but I've known the car for 30 plus years because I knew the man. And that, to me, that's the car. If it's a car I don't have, it would definitely be a large brass era car, something very unique and interesting in the brass era. I want to say maybe a Thomas Flyer, just because of the history of that company. Thomas Flyer is the car that won the New York to Paris race in 1908. Actually know the man whose grandfather was the driver of that car. So it's something, big Thomas Flyer. I worked for a man, Harold Coker, that owned more Thomases than anyone at the time. That was he's been gone now probably at least 10 years, but he owned probably a dozen Thomas Flyers during his lifetime. So that would probably be, something big, brass, Thomas Flyer, or something equivalent.
Well, thank you for your time. It's been a great time talking, and you are a wealth of knowledge, and it's great to see people appreciating these, 100-year-old cars.
Oh, I love it, and I want to tip my hat to you for having the interest as well. Everybody says young people aren't interested in these old cars, and I always say that is not true. It is something that maybe it's going through a cycle, but there always be an interest in these automobiles because they are works of art. And I see some of your cars behind you there, and I just think it's great to see young people in this hobby and having the interest. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, this has been the Exhaust Nut Podcast. I'm Brynn Patton, and that is Jeff Stumb. We'll see you next time.